This conference will now be recorded.
And just let a couple of minutes pass as people have the possibilities to join us. I know that if this is the first time that you will use this program, there might be some steps that you wouldn't know that you have to do before you enter. So let's just open the energy. And as we open the energy, we are allowing people to find their way here into this webinar, where we will open a talk and energy work about energy and money. And maybe you have heard the words about all money is energy, and you just have to let the energy flow and let the money flow. You might have a slight other perspective after these talks that we will like to share with you in this webinar. And still people attend, so just wait to give the possibility. And the energy is really strong, and I'm really Danish, so I hope you'll bear with me with my language skills and the pronunciation, and maybe even help me. So if you hear me struggle trying to find the English word, please help me put the words or your guess in the chat, and then I will try to take the best of them, to choose the best of them to help me get through. I'm so used to be a channel, so I really didn't even think about that this should be in English until today, where I prepared a small drawing for my part of the teachings, the talk, and then I recognized, oh, it's in English. I'm not even sure that I know these English words that I have to talk with this area, because I've been talking about spirituality and I've been talking about science, but this is different. My talk is about the perspective of being working with business. I haven't ever talked about that in English, so I'm really leaning upon the channel and hope that I'll get the help that I need, because otherwise this could be more fun than good. But cross the fingers and hope for the best, or hope for your help. Let's see about it. But I think we're ready now, and I would like to welcome you to this meeting, webinar, teaching, talk about our perspective, about energy, balance, and trading and money. I welcome you, Brian, to come here and talk.
Thank you.
And this is a part of a series that is related to teaching that I have had in Danish, that is about energy balanced ways of creating business and working with business. And when I was talking with Ryan about this last year, he told me about that he have been studying the history of money, and just within a small talk I was really interested and wanted to know more. So we had this, and it was really good, and I'm looking forward to take another round now in English. And I know you are much better in English than I am, so I'm really comfortable in giving you the words here. And I'll just let go of the camera and the microphone and leave it to you.
Thank you so much, Marianne, and welcome everybody. This is also new to me because this is the first time I'm doing this talk in English. I did the talk only once before, and it was about a year ago in Danish. So I'm a little uneasy with not talking in my native tongue. So I hope that you forgive me if I sometimes stumble my words, but I'll try to do the best I can. My name is Brian Hayashi. Hayashi is Japanese. I'm half Danish and half Japanese, and I live in Denmark. My father is Danish. He has blonde hair, blue eyes, and my mother is Japanese. I grew up in a family where money was taken very seriously. The Japanese do take money very seriously, and they are good savers. They always save money. They're very prudent, and they don't overspend. And my father is actually like that. We never talked about money at home. At that time in the 70s and 80s, where I was a child, I'm 51 today. It wasn't common that money was discussed. It was just something that was private and was a little bit, maybe even taboo to talk about. And certainly we didn't learn about money in school. So all the experiences and ideas about money was kind of fluffy. We know what money is, we think, but we never really give it a second thought about where does it come from. How come, there's stuff like inflation and currencies and valutas and all these kind of things. And some years ago, I actually fell in love with monetary history. It really fascinated me. I went into the rabbit hole like in Alice in Wonderland, and the more I learned, the more interested I became. It was so fascinating, the origins of money and how our system is built up today, and perhaps the illusion that's pulled over our eyes about money. So, like Marianne said, we talked about a year ago about this, and I was really happy to be able to do a talk at that time. And I'm also very humble and very happy to be able to do this talk today with you guys from the Elite Teachings group. I have followed Marianne and her teaching for about 10 years. So we go far back, and my life has become so much richer in so many ways since I began taking her lessons and being a part of the teachings. It has really changed and transformed my life, both personally and definitely personally, but also in my surroundings and in my workplace. I have worked with sales in sales for over 25 years, and today I work with sales of IT security, and I work for an American company, a global American company, and many of our customers are global customers. So they are large enterprise setups with a lot of money involved, actually. And I remember 25 years ago when I started as a new sales guy, I couldn't imagine working with the types of customers that I work with today. It has been a gradual process and learning experience, and I see that as also being a part of wealth creation and building your business. That it's a healthy way to grow by trial and error, having experience, learning by doing, constantly being creative and purposeful, and also being curious about what you do. That really drives and propels a career forward. Well, enough about the small talk. I'll try to put the slide presentation up. Marianne, could you please allow me to share?
Yes, just a second. Here I am.
Okay, thank you so much. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I've called the talk today "The Value of Money," and it's not what you think. I smile when every time I am at the supermarket. I pay with these paper or just beep a card. And then in return I get real stuff, groceries and stuff like that. I spend my time to earn these numbers on a screen, and it's really surreal what money is. And so I would love to share my perspective and the things that I've learned about money and what the true value of money is. If you haven't heard this before, the content of today, I really hope that it opens your eyes and also gives you a more nuanced perspective of value and of money and currency and how we exchange. And ultimately also what to value in your business and value in your personal lives as well. I've just changed the screen. I just need to hear if it's if the screen has changed. Has it?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, actually, actually your true wealth is your time and your freedom. Ultimately, it's your true wealth. As spiritual beings incarnated on earth, you have time, and understand in 3D we experience linear time, and we have freedom. Actually, we are borderless. We are multidimensional beings living as a spirited being in consciousness. So true abundance is the ability to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to. That's ultimate freedom, is whatever you want to do, whenever you want to. And this is to live our spirituality, to experience love, and also have our health, our creativity and purpose. These are ultimately the things that drive us and really propel our lives. And of course, life is up and down. There are challenges and all this, but if you really have a positive perspective on your life and on things, then you will also welcome the challenges. You will also welcome the hard stuff. And actually the hard stuff sometimes makes it more fun. So when your wealth is your time and freedom, then I'm trying to, then we exchange our time and freedom for stuff. We exchange our time and freedom, for example, for money. We put time into our jobs, or if we have a business, we grow our business. And so this is an exchange. But we also exchange our time and freedom for love. That can be in a romantic relationship. It can be with our family. And anybody that has children or is in a relationship in any form knows that it can also be hard work. Although it's very rewarding, we exchange our time and freedom for love. And also we exchange our time and freedom for health as well. We have to look after our bodies. Maybe we go to the gym, maybe we go for a walk. We try to eat healthy and nutritious to power our physical being. And so this is also an exchange of our time and freedom, of our wealth for health. And actually also for spirituality. You are choosing to use your time and freedom listening to this talk today. And so everything is an exchange of our ultimate wealth, which is time and freedom. And the best thing is that if you can do some of these things at the same time, so exchange your time and freedom for spirituality, love, health, creativity, purpose, for money at the same time, then you're really truly fulfilling your life's full potential and purpose. So the more we can do all these things at the same time, the better. So if we really put our spirituality and our love, health, creativity, purpose inside our business or our job, we will have a very, very healthy career. Because these are the things that do that we are motivated, we are creative, we wake up in the morning and we're happy, we can't wait to get to work, because we do what we love. And that's actually very important when we say we spend time. When we spend our time and freedom, that we do it with the things we love, mostly anyway. But this talk is about money, and I'd like to start with a short definition of money, what money is, the official consensus about it. But before I do that, I'd like to quote Bob Marley, the wonderful Bob Marley, money can't buy life. And of course, that's completely true. Money can't buy life, and many of the things that I mentioned before have nothing to do with money. There are also tribes in the world that do not use money. They have another form of society which exchanges in a different way than we do. But for hundreds of years in our part of the world and in our culture, money has been a daily tool. And it is a tool, although, you know, we talk about the rich and the poor and, you know, poverty and all this kind of stuff. And of course, it is related to money because money is bound to resources. But I hope that that after this talk, you will have a more broad understanding of what money is. So what is money? Well, the official definition is that it's a medium of exchange and a unit of account. And that's, of course, you know, if otherwise we had to barter and trade. So if I have a cow and you have some eggs, then we can do an exchange of the cows and eggs, and it's difficult to proportion, and then maybe I don't need eggs, and you know, so money is great. Money is a wonderful tool to for us to exchange, you know, value. It's defined by that money needs to be portable. We have to be able to move it from place to place. It has to be divisible, so we can divide it into larger or less pieces. It has to be something called fungible. Fungible means that a coin in my pocket is the same value as a coin in your pocket, and it has to be a store value. So this is the traditional definition of money. If we look at what we use today, we actually do not use money. We use currency. And what is currency? Well, actually, it fulfills a lot of the same aspects of money. It's portable, it's divisible, it's also fungible. So a euro in my pocket is the same as a euro in your pocket, but it's not a store of value. And this is the first understanding, that when we understand that, oh, there's a difference between money and currency. And I like to bring up an example of that. In 1925, Henry Ford, who owned the Ford Motor Company, he introduced the world's first everyman's car. This was so that the first time in the world that ordinary people could purchase a vehicle. He was also the first guy that invented the assembly line. So he actually industrialized the manufacturing of cars. Well, the pricing for a Ford T, as the car was called, is this beautiful. It is beautiful. This beautiful car in 1925 cost $260. The gold price per ounce, an ounce is 31.1 gram of gold is a coin. A typical standard coin is an ounce of gold. The price was $20.67. So if you paid the 4T in gold, the price of a 4T would be 12.5 gold pieces. Now that was in 1925. If we go to today, in 2020, the Ford S Fusion, or sorry, it was 2022. So the price in 2022, and this is in the US where they're not taxed as heavily as we are here in Denmark, the price is $22,000. So that's 85 times the $260 that the Ford T was, that the Ford T costs. But the gold price per ounce today is approximately $1,815. So the price of a 4T in gold is 12.15 gold pieces. So this is the power of money that has store value versus currency. So you could buy a 4T for a little over 12 gold pieces in 1925. Almost 100 years later, you can still buy every man's car for 12 gold pieces. So that's true store value. And our currency has depreciated in value. Our currency actually had to be multiplied by 85 times so if you in 1925 you had $260 and you saved them, they would be worth much less than if you had 12 pieces of gold. So that's why in this talk I will differentiate between money and currency. An infamous banker in the beginning of 1900, JP Morgan said that gold is money, everything else is credit. And my example from before actually explains this very well. Because the purchasing power of every currency, not just the US dollar, has fallen. Now this is a graph from 1910 to almost today. And you see that the purchasing power has fallen throughout time. And it's almost depreciated by 97% at this time. So our money or currency, our currency is worth less and less. In the old days, there was a relationship between currency and gold. So actually, in the old days, there was no difference between a paper dollar or a gold coin. And actually, on the note, it said in gold coin. And later on, they also it was devalued, so it became a silver dollar also. But the gold and silver were transactionable, so you can take your dollar note, go into the bank, and you can exchange it for a gold coin or a silver coin. The dollars that are used today, or the currency that we use today, has no notability about being exchangeable for gold or silver, and there's a reason to that. in the in all the world, we had to find a system that worked for all the different currencies in the world. And actually, after World War II, the Americans were very rich and they had a lot of gold. And that was because in wartime, in Second World War, the Americans were helping the Allied troops and sending and shipping, a lot of resources, industrial and war equipment and food and stuff like that over the Atlantic to the British and to the French and so forth. And the Allied troops, the Allied countries, they paid the Americans back in gold. So a lot of gold has been sailed over the Atlantic, and actually the treasure hunters are looking for some of it because German U-boats actually sank many of the ships. So there's a lot of dollars, a lot of gold on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But anyway, after the Americans became very rich from World War II, and so they were considered the largest economy. They were considered the most stable currency and money in the world. So they decided on a system where the British pound, German mark, French franc, and many other valutas was pegged to the US dollar. And the US dollar was pegged to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. So that meant that all money in the world was actually, in currency, was backed by gold. The Bretton Woods system ran from 1944 to 1971, where we were on a partial gold standard. And I say partial because it was about 40% backed by gold, but still. And so gold has because there's only a fixed amount of gold, and we mine gold every year, but it's growing steadily. We can't just print a lot of money because it has to be equivalent to the amount of gold that we have. So that forces politicians and everybody else to be fiscally responsible. But in 1971, everything changed. And that was because that after the World War and the years after, there was a tremendous growth in a lot of countries. And the European countries had a lot of dollars, and they started to repatriate these dollars for gold. So they started wanting their gold back. And so the Americans, they sent gold to France and to Germany and to many other countries, and they were depleting their gold reserves so much that they were afraid of the stability of the world reserve currency, which was the dollar. So in 1971, Richard Nixon, he made a public speech that he would temporarily take the dollar off the gold standard. And he said temporarily, but it has never been on the gold standard since. So ever since 1971, all currencies are not backed by anything. And that's what we call fiat currency. And fiat is a word, I think it's Latin. It means that because we say so, because it shall be. So there's nothing backing the currency other than the promise to tax you in the future, actually. So really, the only difference between these two notes is your belief that one has more value than the other. So it's, I discuss these topics at home, and I remember my daughter when she was a little girl, and she said to me, "But Dad, it's just paper." So she already started to understand that really it's just a piece of paper. Money or currency is just a piece of paper. And it's our trust that if we, exchange our time and freedom for these numbers on a screen or a paper note, that we can purchase something with them in the future. That's our belief. That's our illusion about this system. So where does currency come from? Well, currency comes from the central banks. And actually, Central banking has been bankers have for centuries in the 1800 tried to be responsible for the currency creation of nations, because if you create a nation's currency, you actually don't care who makes its laws, because you're above the law. So central banks today are private banks, and they're owned privately as limited companies by a very few handful of people and families. In Europe, where we live, is the European Central Bank that that controls our monetary policy. We have you can say we have two different kinds. We have monetary policy and we have fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the politicians that spend and they tax, they use the money to govern. And monetary policy is the central banks. They can regulate the amount of money that's in the system, or currency that's in the system, and they can also manipulate interest rates. So the EU members, they are part of this European central banking system. And there are these countries, they have applied the euro. So they have, there's no more Deutschmarks and Italian francs and so forth, or Italian lira. They use euros today, and they all participate with a percentage inside the ECB. And here are the non-euro. Denmark is about 1.5% of the total capital cap of the ECB. In Denmark, the Danish National Bank in Copenhagen was established in 1818, also as a private limited company, and was given the exclusive rights by King Frederick VI to issue banknotes. So because we're a member of the European monetary system, it's actually the ECB that's issuing notes today and creating currency. But important to understand that central banks and banks are not part of the government or our state in any way. They work together, and it's been highly politicized within time, but they are a separate entity, and no central bank has ever in history been audited. So we actually can't see the numbers. They publish numbers, but they have never been audited. Our system of money is a debt-based system. So all currency is created as a loan. So let's say that I'm a central bank. There's no money in the world. There's no, and I issue 1,000 euros in currency, and you loan 1,000 euros, and I say, okay, here's 1,000 euros, but you have to pay me back with interest. And you say, okay, okay, but I have 1,000 euros, but I have to pay you back in interest, but I still need the 1,000 euros. Where is the interest going to come from? And so that's, as a central bank, I say, oh, well, then you have to loan some more to pay your interest. And so you have to loan some more to pay your interest, so your debt increases, and then you have to borrow more to pay these interests, and so forth. So the money creation is gradually getting larger and larger and larger. And that's actually how the system works. It's a debt-based system, and this is one of the reasons we also have inflation. So the European Central Bank creates money or currency out of thin air. It loans it to the commercial banks with small interest or no interest, and the commercial banks lend it to the people with a high interest. So the closer you are to the money creation of the European Central Bank, the more free money is, and the longer it goes out to the people, the more expensive money is. Also, the government has to borrow money, so it borrows money from the central bank and also has to pay back these loans and the only way that a government or a state can earn money is by taxing its citizens. So actually, every time we increase the supply of money in the system or the currency in the system, we actually indebt ourselves and have to pay more and more tax to pay this. And the same Henry Ford from Ford Motor Companies from before said that it's well that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. And that's true. People do not understand the monetary system, and that's okay. But we are in a time of enlightenment, and we really need to be aware of what's really going on. So the tools of the central bank, they can manipulate interest, or they can create money. That's actually what the tools are. And we can see that the money creation throughout the years has just gone up and up and up, and especially the latest period is because of the Corona crisis. They have created so much money. And when you create so much money, you also need to pay this back. The same with the ECB in Europe, created so much money. Because you have to pay so much back, the interest rate has fallen to almost zero, and in some countries below zero. So now we are in a place that we have never been before in our financial system. If you look at the amount of currency in the system as water, and you see prices as a sponge, then if the more currency that you create, it will be sucked up by the sponge, so prices will increase. So it works like this, that the prices are like a sponge for the amount of currency, and this creates inflation. And a year ago, I held this talk, the same talk actually, where I said that in the coming time there will come inflation, and this inflation has started, and we can see it in prices around us and in many countries as well. Gas prices have soared in the last years a lot. Energy prices, electricity, gas, diesel, and so forth are going up, 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 up. We see housing prices going up, and actually they have reached a level where it's actually cheaper to rent now than to buy a house at this time. Now this is average for the EU, so it's of course different from country to country. But housing prices have also been, a part of this inflation. Same with the stock market; it's just been going up and up and up and up. So when you create more money, all money has to go somewhere, and they would typically, the people that have investments, they get richer and richer. So the wealth gap between the richest and the poorest has also been growing, because poor people do not have stocks, but rich people have stocks, and their stocks are just soaring. So they're getting richer and richer, and poor people are getting poorer and poorer because their money is devaluating. This is a Big Mac that's also grown in price, and this is versus the CPI. And in the macroeconomic people, they usually say CPI, because this is a consumer price index, but they manipulate the index so it is lower than it should be. But everything is going up in price, and you can ask, why are they printing so much money? And that's because in 2008 our financial system it died, and that was because that there had been some policy before that that regulated how much banks could invest and how much they could gamble. But these regulations were lifted throughout the years, and so the banks really started speculating, and they could speculate in when they issue loans, they could take these loans, bundle them, and then sell them to another bank. And all banks are interconnected, so they are taking loans from one bank and selling to another bank. This bank sells it to another bank, and every time the bankers get commission. So people were getting very rich from issuing these loans, and then they were running out of loans because they were running out of people with good credit, and so they started issuing loans to people with less credit, and so the whole thing collapsed, and suddenly people could not pay back their loans, and the whole thing collapsed so much that the banks actually were financially insolvent. And this created a systemic risk in society that all banks in our financial system could collapse. So what they did was the central banks, together with the governments of a lot of countries, they bailed out the banks, but they didn't bail out the people, but they bailed out the banks. And because they put so much money into the system to bail out these banks, all this money needs to be paid back, and so they've driven the interest down, and they're really in a hard place right now. So this is the central banks right now. We are on the verge of some sort of shift, of a change. If they raise interest rates, there would be a lot of bankruptcies, unemployment. If they keep printing, there will be a hyperinflation. So this is really a rock and a hard place. What to do? And nobody really knows what they're going to do. And that's why they're talking about the Great Reset. Now, the Great Reset is much more than just our monetary system. It's a philosophy about the redistribution of wealth and so forth. And there are a lot of conspiracies and and I won't go into the Great Reset, but something major is happening in this time. And more people, ordinary people, are awakening. And there are tectonic shifts in the fabric of our society right now. And so as a private person, how do you navigate in these times? How do you handle money or wealth or anything in these tumultuous times? Because actually at this moment, nobody really knows what's going to happen. They're planning stuff, but nobody really knows. Currency is like a fruit. So it has, like apples that mature and then they get ripe and we can eat them, and then they become over mature and then at last they rot. This is a cycle that goes throughout our existence. This is a part of organic life, and currency is no different. It's like fruit, and there has been periods typically of about 100 years. So for the last 100 years, the American have been the reserve currency and the major economic power, and the dollar has been the reserve currency. Before that, it was the British with the pound sterling that was the reserve currency, and before that, there has been the French and the Portuguese and so forth, colonial powers that also have been reserve currencies. So we are now at the end of this cycle, and so it's important to be positive and aware of where are we going from now. This is the net gold purchase of the central banks, and you can see after 2008 they started purchasing a lot of gold again, whereas before the gold was not pegged to anything, and we don't need gold and so forth, so they just sold the gold they had. But after 2008 they started purchasing gold. And this is because, of course, that they might expect that in the future that they need to back the future currency up with a kind of gold system, gold standard. How to preserve your wealth in tumultuous times has always been investing in different asset classes. Throughout generations, we have seen that fiat currencies have failed, and all fiat currencies until now have failed. So the richest families in the world, they own physical assets, and this is what we call dynastic wealth. So they own land, and they own gold, silver, jewelry. They own fine art, collectibles, and everything else comes and goes. Stocks and bonds. If you have a residential houses, because houses, they become old and they need a new roof, and they need, need to be maintained. And paper currencies, fiat currencies, also come and go. So these are some of the asset classes that survive throughout generations in dynastic wealth. Unfortunately, we as normal citizens can't own land. Well, actually, when we purchase a house and the land on it, the house is on, we lease the land for I think about 99 years, but it's the government that owns the land. Actually, it's not even the government; it's the royalty that owns the land, and we have to pay tax for being on that land. But we have access to gold, silver, jewelry, and art and collectibles. So this is a really good way to preserve your wealth through these times, even if it's financial difficult times or if it's wartime. Then these are the ways that families have preserved their wealth. And why gold? It's really weird. Why gold? Because gold has been true money for thousands of years. In recorded history, gold is the primary monetary metal. It's represented by the sun, the yang. It's created in a supernova. When a star explodes, this substance erupts, and we find gold, and gold is indestructible. It can't rust. If you bury gold in the ground, in 10,000 years, it'll still be gold when you pull it up. All the gold that has been mined in the world is still above ground, is still in private hands. And gold has a metaphysical quality because it's been considered wealth in so many lifetimes and generations and societies. It's coded in our DNA. It attracts wealth. The energy in this substance attracts wealth. It's the money of kings, and it's the only true monetary metal. Silver is considered people's money. Usually in the old days, a lot of the coins were made of silver, and it's represented by the moon. It's the yin. It's the most it has been the most common form of money for thousands of years, especially among normal people. And today it's both a monetary and industrial metal. So we use silver in cell phones, we use silver in a lot of electronics, we use silver in solar panels, and we use in electric cars, and we actually consume a lot of silver in our society. Also, there's a new alternative, and this is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was actually created in 2008, after the financial crash of 2008. There was a data sheet, a white paper that started circling in the world of programmers by this guy that called himself Satoshi Nakamoto. And nobody really still today knows who he is, but they started implementing this system where the code, they put the code in, and suddenly they could see that this was a perfect monetary system. and it's not centralized anywhere, because the currency we use today is centralized in the banks, but Bitcoin is decentralized. So there are a lot of servers all around the world that all are Bitcoin servers, and then in time intervals there's created new Bitcoin, and there needs to be a consensus among all the Bitcoin servers before a new block is created. And this means that nobody can control Bitcoin, because it's a free currency of the people. And actually, I would argue that Bitcoin could be money. It's not old enough so we don't know what its store value is, but as it matures, it could really become money. But anyway, it's definitely a currency at the moment, and it's a currency of the people that's not centralized. So Bitcoin is a great alternative. So now we're getting to the end of this talk about money. I hope that it has been valuable to you to hear about this. And this is also, when we discuss money and currency and all these things, it's just a part of our lives. And maybe in times it's a large part of our lives, but it's many times just a small part of our lives, because we are so much more. And I would like to here at last talk about also values of your business. And I love the diamond scale, which is defined also by the 4 C's in the diamond. And it's clarity, it's cut, it's carat, and it's color. And if you use this diamond, the 4 C's in diamonds, in relation to how you run your business, the first C is clarity, and that's about purity. It's about honesty. It's about transparency in your products, in your business, and the way you run your business. It's about the truth, so that your customers are always they always know what you stand for. They know what your products stand for, and you have an integrity and your spirituality as well, because a lot of us that are working are guided every single day. We use our spirituality in our daily lives. It's integrated. So in that way, we transform our daily lives into something holy. And bringing clarity into your business is really important for the way that you transact with your customers and build your business. The next C is cut. I see cut as borders. I mean that means that in your business there are borders. There's a structure. That means that we can say yes, we can do this. No, we can't do that. Be clear about what your business can and can't do. Because a lot of, I've seen it in my world where a lot of sales guys, they're like, oh yeah, we can do that, and yeah, maybe we can do this as well. Not very clear. It becomes wishy-washy, and that's not a good way to do business. If you're professional, you have some clear borders in your business and also for your personal life, that it's okay to say no. Actually, sometimes it gives a lot of trust if you say no. This is not what we're best at. I would actually recommend you do this instead. This we are good at, and we can definitely recommend ourselves. It's also about having edge. Edge means that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be on the cutting edge also, and to have posture. Hold your head up high. It's a discipline, and it's like a practice, like the monks have a spiritual practice that they do and repeat every single day. This is consistency. It's also what wins Michelin stars. It's consistency. Carat is the weight. Is having substance in your business. It's being grounded and having your connection to the earth. It's having your skills, professional skill set in place. You know, so when people come to you, you have experience. You really have something that you can provide with your business to your customers. And the last one is color. It's what makes you unique and special, and gives your business flavor. And the beautiful, you know, when you let your light shine, it also shines in your business. It shines throughout the organization, in your products, in the marketing, all the way out to the consumers. It shines in customer support. It shines in the service levels. All around, the beauty is what really builds your brand as well. And also, at last, remember that diamonds have been created under extreme pressure. So none of this comes without ups and downs and hard times. But really, we become stronger, become better, wiser, more mature as time goes by. So at last, I would like to say that you're diamonds and gold. And thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope that my English was okay. I tried as well as I could, and you're ripe and you're delicious. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Ryan. Your English was more than perfect. I'm admiring your English. So thank you so much. And it was really interesting. The perspectives and the sense of both the monetary system, currencies, and the money. I for sure have a different perspective and a different feeling afterwards, and I love the diamond. I just need to close down.
Oh, the presentation.
Yeah, can you help me with that?
Maybe.
I just see if I can.
So I've made you a presenter now.
Yes, but I think yes.
Should be.
Here it is.
Is it okay?
Yes, it is. So thank you very much for the talk. It's really important because when we are working with business and when we are opening to be business and at the same time trying to be sincere, to be carrying our heart and our soul into the business, this is important to have something to relate to that is carrying a broader perspective than just a feeling and the old patterns that we're carrying that comes from the old hierarchies and the knowing that you were talking about, that it has been not something you talk about, it's something to be quiet about, don't talk about it, don't tell anybody, it's a secret, or it's something that you don't want to share. You don't want to tell people about your money. You don't want to show them. And to some families, it's even embarrassing to be the one who's having money. And to others, it's the opposite way around. It's really something that's carrying a lot about feelings and also reactions that is related to survival. So it's strong. It's really strong.
It is really strong, and I think we put so much time and effort and emphasis on money, and we build our businesses around the act of earning money, and we put status into being rich, and but money is really just a tool. I mean, if you want a picture on the wall, you have to hammer the nail into the wall, and you need a hammer. But it's not the hammer that's important; it's the picture on the wall that's important. And we, the money is like the hammer; it's just a tool, and we can, have so much of what we need and want in our lives without money. But of course, we need money because our system is built like that. And so to have a good understanding of what wealth is, what is money, what is currency, where are we in the cycle, also helps us to take wise decisions for ourselves and our families in the future. If you know that housing prices are on the top now, then maybe it's not a good time to buy a house. Maybe it's a good time to sell the house. So you can really go with the flow of the cycles that are in the financial world.
It's so true. And what I also invite to with this teaching today and the next teachings, and maybe you will even come and participate again, Brian, is how to balance yourself in the energy and in the consciousness, and at the same time working with running a self-employed business or working with development. And before I worked with this, I have been working as a developer and working with management, business management and project management. And I met you, Brian, and I would also like to address that you were the first one to tell me, Marianne, you need to do something with this energy thing. The things that you're doing, it's not normal. It's I have met a lot of people working with energies, and none is doing it the way that you are doing. So please, you need to work with this. And I was like, no. I'm an engineer. I work with business and management and creating projects and solutions. And you said you need to do this, Marianne. I'm sorry, but you need to. So you were the first guide I met who told me this in real life. So you are a big part of me being here, I have to say.
Well, thank you for following your call, Marianne. I mean, it's amazing where you were 10, 11, 12 years ago and where you are now. And you and your guides have done a tremendous job in Denmark, especially. And now you're reaching out of Denmark out in the world to a much larger audience, but also really touching on different cultures and different cultural fields with your teaching. So I'm so excited for you now that these are completely new grounds, and that's what I always pictured, that it would be like this, that you would work internationally and you would touch a lot of people around the world, both now and in the future. So that's amazing.
You told me I still think it's a bit scary, but I'm now here and I take the steps and love your support in any way. And this is a new step. So my language, if you say that you have difficulties with your English, it's nothing. Not because we have to compete. And the idea about compete is actually one of the issues that I would like to talk about. Because when we are open to heartfelt business, the competition that opens is amazing, because we are competing with everything, and we don't even know how much we compete. So we compete not only with ourselves, but with the idea of what we could be. And because we are competing with the idea of what we could be, many people who begin to work with their self-employed business, they end up being devastated and being their own boundary in a way where they can't step in, because they have an idea that it needs to be perfect before they begin. And this is not possible. So the energy work that goes with my part of the work today is about releasing the competition And the competition, you can't release that, and you don't need to release it in a way that where it's evaporated, because you need this power. But if you can separate yourself from your work, from your creation, so you are understanding that what you're creating and what you're selling is not you, but something that you are related to, and you're not actually related to it in person. It's not something that can be taken away from you. It's not something that diminish anything that you are, no matter how good or how bad it is. No matter if somebody's is buying it, it wouldn't change anything about your value. And this is really a perspective that I'm recognizing that it's a problem to many people, and where I think I'm lucky to have had the work as an engineer and a project manager and a sales person, because then you learn that what you sell is solutions and it's help, and people who buy it need to recognize this. That there's a difference. But now as an energy worker, I love to work with this. So the healing that's open right now is a healing that supports us in finding the liberty, the liberation, in being a creator and a business person, a salesperson. But what we are creating, what we are selling, what's in our business, it's not ourselves. We are not on the shelves. We are not at sale. But we would like to exchange for what we can provide as a help or as something you could purchase. So, yes.
In our field, we welcome competition. I mean, competition is usually, it can be seen as a negative thing, but it's actually a very positive thing. Now, if you have a street in a city and there's a bicycle shop, and then suddenly another one starts a bicycle shop there, then those two will compete with each other and think, why are you putting up a shop so close to me? But then if a third one comes and a fourth one and a fifth one comes also selling bicycles, now suddenly this area becomes the bicycle area that everybody in the vicinity, they would visit this area because of they know that the concentrated value of bicycles are in that area. And also, it brings out the best in us, because when in competition, we always have to do our best to succeed and to grow. And that also means that when somebody else is better than you, you can either feel that, oh, I'm not good enough, or you can use it as inspiration to, oh, wow, that's great, I want to do that too. You use it really as a motivational engine. And so the professionalism also that you're talking about, because it's like, this about getting attached to things emotionally also. It's really an art. It's like doctors that can't get emotionally attached to their patients, because it would be heartbreaking if they have to bring it in. So, when you have a professional distance, it becomes a sort of tool, it becomes a craft, a skill set to how to run your business, how to, compete, how to be a part of the game. So I think that's a very interesting topic, competition.
Yes, and thank you so much, because it's all about professionalism, and it's also actually the balance about opening the competition in the healthy thrive, the healthy manner. Because when you're opening in a healthy manner, it will be energy creating. When it's unhealthy, you can have some energy that's created, but it's not sustainable. It will create a depletion afterwards. But when you are opening the competition in the healthy manner, when you're competing with yourself and you need reaching to inspiration, and also sometimes choose which steep hill should I take? Is this one I want to do? Do I need to to take this competition? Is it a good idea, or is this better to me? Not so steep, but maybe longer, and it's better to me. So also to be able to choose which competition to take. It's about awareness. So if you're not aware and you don't have the perspectives of your business and your products and this way of being professional, you can create an unsustainable way of using your energy. And a lot of the people that I meet, they're not professional like you are. But I also meet people who's professional and they're burning out because they are creating the unhealthy discipline. And the unhealthy discipline. And I know that you are running in the new era energy and using the guidance and using the balance. So I can't frame you in this. That's not the idea of it, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. Yeah. So it's not about that, but people who is going into being professionals but don't have the heart in it, and carrying in the fright that comes from all layers and perspectives. And a lot of this fright comes from not being good enough. And if you're carrying this not being good enough into the business and you try to use the business to solve the feeling, the idea that you're not good enough, then you will be opening to creating an energy that is not sustainable. So you will end up using the energy in a way that can fulfill you for a short while, but then you will lead it and it will be a lack. So the idea of working with awareness and the energy in the way that where I try to mix the teachings that come from the guidance and the channeling together with the business knowing, the professionalism, and also the tools from project management. I try to merge that into one thing. The idea of that is to help to open the awareness and to release this wanting to use the business as a solution for the personal problems. So I try to work with the idea of open the problems, running the business, and then meeting them in the energy, meeting them with the healings, meeting the opening for the reactions that is often from lack of relying on yourself and low self-esteem, and then using the awareness training together with creating the business to relax, make a relaxations in the energy and the consciousness, and an opening for you to be able to feel actually if you are aligned with the 4 C's in the diamond alignment, in the diamond way of seeing the things. So it's yeah.
Yeah, I also see it like that, Marianne, that because a business is not, the business is actually for the customers. That's why you run a business. It's for other people. It's actually not so much, of course, we all want to fulfill ourselves and, be creative and prosperous, but a business is actually about other people. It's about the customers, the people that you help or that you provide a service to or product to. It's how you enrich their lives, and that's why I always say that all trading and all interacting in business is between people. You can't sell something to a non-human, to a dog or to a machine. I mean, you sell it to other people. Even in the stock market, the people, buyers and sellers are there. So that means that the awareness has to connect with other people. It has to be socially. You have to have an awareness of where are you in time, to which people are you extending yourself in your business to? What community are you creating? What kind of so these things, and also stuff like crowdfunding is really getting big. We're crowdfunding all kinds of stuff now, helping people, sick people with operations, or helping other people fulfill their dreams and building a house in Nepal or something. We are a community. We're communicizing, because when we are aware of how to extend ourselves in our business, we actually grow our business. But that's when we stop looking inwards so much, focusing on how do I do this, or this product, is it green or is it red, or something. If the focus is on the product, that's actually the wrong focus. The focus should be on the customer, and asking the customer, would you like, what do you need, and then of course come with your expertise and says, okay, well, we can do it like this, and the customer says, oh my God, that's amazing, thank you so much. That's the true relationship between the provider and the customer.
It's true. And what I meet is a lot of people who is waking up and having an idea of creating a self-employed business. So many people is inspired to do so, and a lot of people have connections and ideas and visions about being a part of heartfelt ways of creating the business and being a part of creating the future. But then my perspective, my work is about helping to creating the professionalism, but still with the respect to the sensation, the sensitivity, being an empath, and having this way of being heartfelt. So finding the balance between being heartfelt and being professional is actually what I'm working with, helping with. And also, a lot of the people that I work with, they have so many visions, but one of the carrots was bullets was being grounded. And if you don't have visions that's grounded at all, then you will keep on following dreams without reality. And if you're using a lot of energy on that, you will be hitting the wall, and you will have an experience of failing. And maybe you have the best ideas, and you really have the possibilities to create and to fulfill your dream about having a self-employed business. But if you're following the dreams and maybe try to solve your lower self-esteem at the same time, this creates knots and problems in the energy, and you are reducing your ability. So the thing I'm working with is being heartfelt, being an empath, having all these ideas and visions, and still keep the solid ground. I'm giving them the tools from project management and the energy work and the training to see the difference between visions and reality. We need the visions, but if they're not enhanced and attached to reality, they can be dangerous. So if you are following your dreams and you are just going up in the thin air, then suddenly even though the banks can create money out of thin air, the rest of us can't. So we need to have, I like to say that you need to have solid material, so the vibrations can be so high with the visions, but we need to have real life vibrations. So in everyday social speak, is if I have an idea about a product, something I would like to do, if I never had tried it and never had tried anything like it, there's no vibration in reality to this vision.
Right.
So it's in thin air. So if I have an experience that's like it, there's some vibrations. If other people have created it, there's solid vibrations. But a lot of people have visions, and they have difficulties in creating the bridge into reality. And this is what I try to help with. And I believe in energy as you do. And I experience that when you have the visions and you have the carrots and actually all the 4 C's from the diamonds scales, and you are opening to carry in doing the work on creating a reality and do the tryouts and accepting failure as a part of the path, then you can really make a difference. And I think this is necessary for the times we are entering. That so many people awakes and have perspectives and see new ways, and they need to step in to create the difference and to create. I've seen visions about many people having their own business and creating societies of business, and the societies of business that being connected and like wired up in different ways. But before we can be able to do this, we need to have stabilized business, stabilized with our visions and with our abilities. I know it's a little bit wild, but at the same time, the things that I'm teaching, you can use it in every kind of business. You know, you don't. And the funny thing is that when we were doing this talk in Danish, you told me that when I was talking about the teaching, and I'm not sure I will do that today, but you would think it was so funny because I have created figures and speaks that has been channeled. And you said, this is exactly what you're taught in the universities when you're taught about these things, just told in another way.
Yeah,
so
that is true. Yeah.
Silent bit, opening the energy. The energy has been working all the time. And you were talking about what's going on in the world right now. And I was just sharing an inch of some of the perspective I see about the future. But what's really important is that I've seen that the future isn't here. People have been able to predict what's going on, what will come. We have really sayings and books and people who's doing that. But right now, we are in a shift where this is not possible. So nobody knows, no guides know, no cosmic being knows what will be on this earth in a week. So what is also about in the teaching is the availability to be keeping the balance in the waves. And this is also what you were taught in a lot of studies around the world right now. It's about keeping the balance in the waves, in the change, and working with the change and using the change to enhance your balance and the sustainability. So nobody knows what's going on, but the belief in the people on earth right now is humongous. It's like everybody in the cosmic reality believes in us. So it would be a good idea for us to begin to believe in us too. And I would like to lift this perspective into this talk about money and what is it worth, and it's not what you think. Because when you began your talk also talking about what is its freedom, it's what is wealth, it's freedom, it's possibility to create a life where you are thriving, and that a lot of people talks about the difficulties that has been and the management that's not sustainable to the world and to the world people. But if I take the belief in us that I recognize from the cosmic realities and put it into what we are talking about now, and also see the difference in just my life, how it was before I was born, and what have been the change in my life. And if I put into the perspective to believe in Earth people, we can create the new world. And by lifting the recognition of the value of money and the value of being and the value of doing, and that this is actually aligned. So if we would like to create a new value of money, a new way, then the things that we're exchanging, you were talking about the exchange, and money is what you can work with exchange. When we know the value of money is related to what we exchange, then I would be inspired to say that we should be more aware of what we're exchanging and lift the perspective into bind money to the value, the true values that you're talking about. So when we are binding the money to the true values, and then you say whatever is not giving a true value to life is not worth a penny.
Right.
It's not worth a dime. Then you will bind the money to true values,
Right.
instead of gold.
Mm.
So
Well, I definitely agree. I mean, last time we talked about this a year ago, you said that we are in a time where we are demystifying, where spirituality is demystifying. Instead of, spirituality in the old days was mysterious and it's mystic, but we're on the other side now, where we are opening to understanding what the world is around us. And there's the spiritual world and the consciousness that we are part of and connected with each other. There are a lot of illusions in that, because it's based on the understanding of how we were taught when we were children, when we were conditioned throughout our lives to understand this is real. But when we demystify and we understand, then we also stop fearing, and we start, because when you're not fearful and you understand something, then you can also make conscious choices about what to do in the future. And it's all about choices. It's all about releasing the fear of the illusions that we have about so many things and why we do them. Why do we, always we can't help ourselves. We always express ourselves. That's the nature of our being. We always, express ourselves. And if we're hurt, if we have imbalances, then we also express these imbalances. So we can't help creating. We create all the time. And if we can heal ourselves, then we start creating healthy things, and we start creating beautiful things in ourselves. And we do that in every aspect of our life, of course, also in business, and also the way we attach ourselves to money and all kinds of, also, love, emotions, I need you, please love me, I need your love. That's also an attachment like we can have to money. And if we can free ourselves in this time together, and that's because this is awakened time. I really think it's an amazing time that we're living in.
yes, it is. And then we kind of ended up the lines because of mixing lines, because the talk is about money, but the money is also the best model you can use to talk about the shift in a way where we can all relate. Because in your first talk, you were talking about the relation to money and the sensation that it could give you if you're receiving a box of apple or receiving a box of money. What would the difference be? And we recognize that after all this recognition of what money was, the sensation was different because there's so much feeling, so much history, and so much struggle in the energy of the money. And open the perspective, the knowing, the awareness about how it is depleting it. So we can release the mysticism in the way where it's struggling us into making bad choices. So I have a feeling, we haven't even talked about this, but it feels like we are landing. And I would like to hear if anyone in the audience have any questions to us. Last time I had a bit of teaching to invite people to be a part of it, but it doesn't feel right here. I would rather like to hear if anybody have any questions to us, and then we could try to answer. I work as a channeler, and it was really fun in the beginning because all the questions that came, I haven't never heard them before. So when people ask me questions, I was like, oh, this is a good question. I would never ask that. And then the answer was, oh, wow, okay, it's crazy. Now I've been doing it for a while, so a lot of the questions I've heard, some of it, still some new comes by now and then. What I also would like to bring in is that when we are opening into a new way of being, everybody is carrying gold, as you said. Everyone is a diamond. You just need to shine your light through that diamond to see, and often you can find it in what you're really good at. I just saw a video another woman was putting up where she was she was writing about that she has been doing a lot of stuff, being really good at it, but she saw it as nothing because it was easy. So a lot of the things that you do, that is where you really shine your light, it's what's easy to you, and you see it as nothing, but to other people it's really special and it's something. So the difference between nothing and something is perspective. It's which light you see it in. So and in the old world, we have had boxes and we have had struggles and hierarchies who told which one could carry which kind of light and which one could carry in something that was worth something. And it was often, and in some parts of the world still, it's related to where you're born. What is your name? Which family are you delivered in as a child? And this is what's giving you the possibility to shine your light. And that is what I think would be different in the future. Okay, we have a questions. Can you open a bit more about what you mentioned around money being attached to value rather than gold? This must be a question to you, Brian.
Well, I mean, it's again that money is a tool, and the money in itself is a tool, but true wealth is a state of being. It's about gratitude and appreciation for what we have in our lives. That's true wealth, and it's the time and freedom and good health and possibilities. All that we have is so. If you attach money to those values in your life, instead of attaching them to gold, just being a tool, just being the status or something. If you attach money to the values in your life, really, there's just an extended part of your expression, and the freedom that money gives is just a part of you flowing as freely as everything else. Then I think that's what Marianne meant when she said attaching value, money to value.
Yes. So was it a clear answer? Does it make sense? If I should try to also give a little channeled, I haven't channeled that much in English, so now I'm a little bit nervous. But let's just try it. A channeled answer to that question too. It might be the same. Money being attached to value rather than God. This is a circular question. The reason why it's a circular question is because money is attachment. So if you attach something to an attachment, then it's circular. So the value in reality is always measured. And then you are creating the measure due to an idea of what you wish for and what you want. So the real trouble about the measures is to balance the wantings. The wantings is the problems about the threshold for the money and the threshold for everything that you are attached to. So when you are enforcing the wanting, like people on earth have been doing for decades, the energy will rise, seem high, but be negative. When you are devaluating the money right now on earth, it's because you are opening to the deeper vibrations and trying to level out this hole of wanting that was creating by enhancing strange ideas of what is worth something. So when you are opening this hole right now, it creates a different and difficult civilization project right now. Because the project on Earth right now is to open the mindset to all people that what has been the most important things for decades is nothing worth right now. So this is really difficult to wake up to this reality, but you will. It's no problem because reality will show and you can see it. So it's just a hole right now, and when the hole is closing, it will be closed with reality. And right now, the possibility for reality is opening through the heart. And heartfelt reality is sustainable. So you are about to creating the sustainable reality, and the attachment to an attachment will be history. But in meanwhile time, ensure that what you are creating every day is worth creating. If it's a smile or if it's a plant, ensure that whenever energy you're using, whenever you are harvesting anything, that what you're doing is worth it. When you're doing this, you create the new waves, the waves of devastating the old ideas of what was worth something that was worth nothing, and then opening to the true reality about what is something worth. And there's an idea too that worthiness and worth is come from the same solid ground of letters. So when worth and worthiness is emerging, you will be there. Then whatever you are meeting that's attached will be attached to something that's sustainable, and that's creating the new reality. Thank you. Okay, it works. It works. Thank you. Yes, it's different. So that was a channeled answer, and it is aligned. Then that's so comforting that what we are really talking by heart and what we know and what we work with, and when we are having a channeled the word, an answer to it, that it's aligned. It's so comforting. A little bit more edgy than me myself normally, as I think. A little bit more, yeah, strange, but it's good. Thank you for the question. And thanks a lot, both of you. A special thank you to Brian for the tremendous explanation about money. I understand it much better now. Can we see it in replay? Would like to show it to yes, it will be in replay. I'll put it up on YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. And I hope for you to share it, because I really would like to have some more of these talks. I really would like to open more to these perspectives. And let's see where it will go. I invite you, Brian, to come again someday, and we will find a new theme. I know you have a lot of things to do, so I'm aware that I'm grateful, and I'm lucky to have you here now, and I can't take more of your time. So just
Thank
hope.
you. Thank you so much. I'd love to come again. I did this talk in Danish a year ago, and it's on YouTube. You just put it up, right? Just for the Danish audience, I can see that he is writing in Danish.
Yes.
And yeah, it has a different energy in Danish as well. And perhaps it's easier to understand in the native tongue.
Yes, true. And maybe even see both, because even though some is the same, there's different perspective in both of them. So if you're up to it, I will invite you. And thank you so much, Brian, for now, and thank you so much for taking up the invitation. Let's find a new theme for next time, and we'll put it up. And yes, having a lot of more fun. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for the questions and the energy. And see you again.